I feel like I'm in like my cool dad lounge right now. We're in the den. Dad just got done balancing the checkbook, and now he's here to talk to you about something important. How you doing? My name is KaseyLAButler, and this is Kase Face. Conversations. I ran a poll on Twitter, and I asked you on Instagram which video you'd like to see this week for the Conversations video, and kids coming out was an easy pick there, which I thought was really interesting. I'm really interested in my demographic right now. Who are you? I'd like to start with just the understanding that I don't know everything, and that my opinions and my thoughts are mine. They don't mean anything outside of that. They're not law. This is just my perspective. And if my perspective allows you to gain some clarity in your perspective, then we have reached our goal. So, kids coming out. I gave this a lot of thought, and the biggest question surrounding this is, when is it too young for a kid to come out of the closet? And when I was thinking about this, there was one overall factor that came into play that I wasn't expecting, but that makes a lot of sense. And that is, what does it mean to come out of the closet? Alright, so I found a simple definition of coming out of the closet that I really like. Coming out of the closet, or simply coming out, is a figure of speech for lesbian, gay, bisexual, pansexual, transgender, or asexual people's self-disclosure of their sexual orientation. So, coming out of the closet is talking about your sexual orientation, or lack thereof, and or gender identity. I think we could level it down to coming out of the closet is saying, hey, this is how I feel. Let's talk about kids, all right? Because a lot of people, their biggest concern is, well, does a child really have the experience and the mental capacity, the understanding to say, I am gay, I am bisexual, to really understand their sexual orientation? That is a valid question. Valid. So as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about how often little kids say something along the lines of, oh, I have a crush on so-and-so in my class. A little girl coming to her mom and saying, oh, I really like Jimmy in my class. She's 6, 7 years old, right? And we don't bat an eye. It is totally normal, totally acceptable. We think it's cute, we move on. If that same little girl was to go up to her mom and say, hey mom, I have a crush on Susie in my class. All of a sudden, this little kid doesn't know what she's talking about. This little kid doesn't know what a crush is. She doesn't know what feelings are. She doesn't know that she's attracted to something or someone. And for some reason, that's okay. I'm not saying that we should encourage all children to look at their sexual orientation and identity and say, what are you feeling? But I am saying that if a child comes to somebody, or comes to a parent, or a role model, or a friend even, and they say, this is how I feel, we should never invalidate a child's feelings. We should say, those are valid thoughts and feelings, let's work through it, right? Where did you hear this? Do you understand what gay means? Do you understand what bisexual means? Do you understand what these things mean? Okay, so you do understand. Let's talk about what your feelings are like. What are you feeling? How does it feel? In what circumstances do you feel it, right? Like, talk to these kids about what they're feeling and work it out with them. It doesn't matter, right? Even if that little girl, Susie, goes and says, I have a crush on Jimmy, we shouldn't say, okay, you're always going to have a crush on Jimmy, right? We should understand that a child is going to grow and mature and change. And just as Sally, or Susie, or whatever her name is, her feelings towards Jimmy are valid because we live in a heteronormative world, Sally's feelings towards Susie are just as valid because they're her feelings. That's how she feels. Instead of making coming out this thing where it's like, I'm going to come out, it's going to be permanent, it's going to be what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Instead of just making it what it is, this is how I feel. I think coming out would disappear, to be completely honest. I think that it would just be, this is how I feel, and I'm growing into that, and I'm feeling that out. But it doesn't need to be this massive, shameful, awful thing. Going back to the premise. When is it too young for a kid to come out? I don't think it's ever too young for a kid to say, this is how I feel. Maybe that same kid is gonna grow and they're gonna decide, you know what? I'm not into this. I'm into this, right? But the fear for a lot of people is maybe that kid won't. And if I support them now, maybe I'm encouraging them to be gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender. Maybe I'm encouraging that, and that's not what I want. I don't want that. And so we look at this kid and we say, you're too young to know what these feelings are, therefore you can't have them. I don't think that invalidating our children's feelings is causing them to not be LGBTQ, I guess is ultimately what I'm saying. Instead, it's causing us to have children that are ashamed of being LGBTQ and that are ashamed of talking about how they feel and are ashamed about being genuine. What would be your response to someone when you knew your sexuality as a kid and their response was, it's just a phase? Maybe it's not. What if we just look at it as this is how I am right now? And if this is how I am right now, can we deal with that? Can we talk about that instead of just saying, let's not talk about it and hope it goes away? Just say, okay, cool, maybe it is a phase. Who knows? Now, to the kids watching this, I want to say, talk about how you feel. But I don't want you to feel like you need to paint a label on this. I don't want you to feel like you need to set your feet in concrete and say this is how it's going to be. At the same time, I'm not saying that this is just a phase. I'm saying that we're all growing all the time, and putting a stamp on this right now maybe isn't something that's going to help you to grow into the person that you are. However, I will also say that trying to put your feelings into words is a very brave and courageous and hard thing to do, and I commend you in that attempt. I think that it's really difficult to explain to somebody else how you feel, and so if you need to use a label to do that, then great, do that. Just know that you're not stuck to that label. Open yourself up to the possibility that you're a lot of things. It might not be how you feel forever, and that's okay. It might be how you feel forever. That's okay. We can't control tomorrow. And so right now, you can control. Loving yourself, being genuine, being open, these are all things that you can control. It's confusing sometimes to have these feelings. And you might feel like it's bad, you might feel like it's wrong, but it's never bad or wrong to be yourself. Ever. Honestly, this is just another example of how homosexuality and bisexuality and transgender identity have been made into something that is overly sexual. Because we say to little kids, we say, you can't be that, you can't have those feelings because those are sexual feelings. And you're too young to have sexual feelings. When in reality, a lot of the time, they're not. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you have a great day. Please don't forget how great you are. You're freaking great, okay? I'll see you next week with my weekly vlog. If you haven't seen last week's vlog, I will put the information down in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. I think you're great. Don't forget how great you are. Please. You're freaking fantastic. Freaking fantastic. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.